Hello everyone, I'm H.A.K. And if you want to know what that stands for and what in the world has to do with my intro, feel free to Iron Man 3! So the story of Iron Man 3 is that it's been a while since the events of the Avengers, and since that time, Tony has been going through a lot of anxiety after the events of that film. So he's been going through a lot of fear and stuff as to whether or not he can still protect Pepper and stuff like that. Meanwhile, the Mandarin is bombing places and killing people, threatening America and all that jazz. So Tony basically challenges the Mandarin and tries to stop him. And I'll just stop there, because everything else, it's better off left not being said until you see the movie or otherwise. Okay, so where do I begin with this movie? On a whole, I liked it. It was not perfect. It wasn't everything I wanted it to be. But it came pretty close, and it gave a lot of what I wanted, and surprisingly a little bit more. The plot turns out to be a little bit more complex than you'd probably imagine it to be before seeing the movie, which I actually really liked. And they paced it very well, I thought. I mean, I'm pretty surprised that it's only 2 hours and 10 minutes. It feels a lot longer than that, like maybe 20 minutes at least, if not a whole half hour. Because they put a lot of things into this movie, and they did it very well. They paced it very well. Not too much in the beginning, because the beginning I thought they rushed a couple of things, especially when it comes to the Mandarin and the Iron Patriot. But other than that, I thought they put a whole bunch of stuff and they did it really, really well. The acting was pretty good. I mean, what do you expect? It's Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and of course Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. So let's just say it's what you expect with the performances for those guys. Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin, I'm going to save that for my spoiler video for this, and there will be one, because on that subject, this movie's not for everyone, because just like The Dark Knight Rises, it's going to divide people. Because around halfway around the movie, there is something that happens that, I'll admit, it disappointed me, and my whole faith in the film almost crashed and burned. But they made up for it for the rest of my opinion. But for others, especially fans that are very, very loyal to Iron Man, they're probably going to be very pissed. So, on that sense, it could be for you, it might not. It completely depends on your point of view in the movie. So this film sadly is not for everyone. Does that stop it from being good? No. Because they just did things really well. The drama was really good. The comedy was actually the best. They had a lot of it. I will say there were times where it didn't fit, like they overdid the comedy. But other than that, they did it really well, surprisingly. I ended up laughing a lot more than I thought it would be, to be perfectly honest. Just like the Avengers, I didn't expect to laugh my butt off at that, but here we are. And it's definitely the darkest, and for the most part, the most loyal of the Iron Man movies. Because Iron Man 1 was fine, it was great. And 2 was okay. I mean, it did some things right as far as certain special aspects that are close to how the comic should be, but it wasn't spectacular. Iron Man 3, it was pretty darn close to how the comics are, at least in my point of view, from reading a few comic books here and there. And they gave us more Iron Man suits, which I wish they showed a lot more. Cause it's not necessarily that they were too fast that you could barely see anything, like it's Transformers or something like that per se. But I wish we or at least we told like all the suits that they showed, just to look at them, because some of them look pretty darn cool. And the action was great. Suspense was really good. Predictable on a couple of areas. But the ending I loved. Well, maybe not love per se, but I really, really liked what they did. I didn't expect it, but they did it, and that's just awesome to me. Other than that, there were one or two things that were kind of plot holes basically that I was kind of scratching my head about, but that's kind of it. In pure honesty, you might hate the movie, you might love the movie, you might be stuck in between. It's pretty much how it's going to go either way. It currently has a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, I believe, and I guess as far as like the general public goes, that sounds about right. But in my point of view, from just seeing this movie, it was dramatic, it was dark, it was very funny on really unsurprising points, and it felt a lot like what Iron Man is from the comics. Not perfectly, but very, very, very close. And it had issues. There are things that you're going to hate. There are some things that they could have done better, or were a little too far, or maybe even predictable. And again, there were plot holes. But for me personally, I found most of them to be pretty minor compared to how the movie was in general. So altogether, yeah, I'd give Iron Man 3 a 90% out of 100. So if you want to see more of my videos, feel free to check them out on my channel. And again, I'm going to have a spoiler video so I can get into more detail with the bigger issues and stuff like that with Iron Man 3. But if you want to see more, feel free to log on to my blog at hacksreviews.blogspot.com, where I have hundreds of reviews that you can read and enjoy. Until then, everyone, I'm Hack. If you want to know what that stands for and what in the world it has to do with my intro, feel free to ask me.